Hey guys, Chef JoJo here with ECO, bringing you another episode of Shift Drink. And on this episode, we're going to talk about the debate of whether to go to culinary school or to get your education through the hard knocks of the kitchen life. And as always, we're going to talk about this subject over a drink. Wow. Well, before we dive into the subject, I just want to thank everybody for all their support for our road trip that we had this summer. It was awesome to get to meet a lot of you out there. I mean, we had such a good time driving all over the country, stopping in at different places and just kind of enjoying ourselves and getting to meet a lot of you. It was just a really amazing trip. We have another one coming up where we're going to be in New York in a couple of days. Can't wait to send you guys some free swag. If you're in New York, hit us up. And as always, you can take the time to subscribe. You can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, or Instagram. Really looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this subject today for sure, because I know it's something that we've been talking about in our industry for quite a while. And it's the question that was just asked to me and several other chefs in a little group of us on Facebook. The question was, now, it really was about, do you get a degree or is a certificate more important? But I wanted to back it up a little bit and ask the question, culinary school or no culinary school? Now, I'm a culinary school graduate. I went to Johnson & Wales in North Miami, graduated, I don't know, in 2000, and I got a bachelor's degree. Now, for me, that was a very big accomplishment. I was in school for a long time. Probably culinary arts is the only degree I could probably get if you really boiled it down. It was just something that came naturally to me, and I did really well in school for the first time in my 20 plus years of school. My dad often said I could have been a doctor if I actually applied myself, just because I was in school for like 8 years. I'm still paying for it, by the way, and I know that is one of the sore subjects that kind of starts it off. Now, I think it really boils down to what kind of chef do you want to be? And there's a lot of things that people don't really tell you. Now, if you want to own your own business, run your own restaurant, do I think you need to jump in and go to culinary school before it gets started? I would probably say no. I would say, for me, what I would say is it's time for you to go work in a restaurant that you think you would like to own one day and see if you like it. Now, if you're going to find a career maybe in hotels or in the corporate world, you're going to need to think about that degree. Now, since it was the only degree that I could accomplish easily, not easily, but I could accomplish it, um, I think it was really important that I got it. It was something that I set out to do, was to have a college degree. What if it's not something you want to do? A lot of companies look for a college degree. Now, in culinary arts, it's often weighed against this experience that you might have. The one thing that they don't really talk about when you send your resume off in the culinary school or out of the culinary school is that a lot of times chefs don't see the first batch of resumes. It goes to a filter spot, like an HR department. And the first thing they do, any misspellings, they dump it. You don't meet the criteria. If you're between 400 applications, how are you going to weed through all this? So if the requirement is 5 years experience or a culinary degree, and you have the culinary degree but not the experience, you might stay and others might get passed over. I think really what it's going to do is open the door for you. And I know that I worked with a lot of really good students at Johnson & Wales when we went to it. We were very competitive. It allowed me to kind of see a lot of different things that I wouldn't have probably been able to see if I only worked in one restaurant. And that's the tough part. Like, I was able to volunteer and work with some great chefs and see what their ideas were. And that's really what the whole process is. I mean, I learned how to make stock in the ivory tower of the culinary school. And I work with a chef now that's worked in some of the best restaurants in the world. I mean, he's worked for Gordon Ramsay, he lived in Japan, he worked at El Bulli for a while, and he said, you know what? Every restaurant made stock different. And every chef has their particular way. He goes, so it doesn't really matter what you know. It's really getting used to what the chef is looking for in his or her kitchen. And now, that goes a long way. But if you have a good starting point where you are starting out working with some great people and you get to see a lot. Now, back in the day, 15, 20 years ago, or 8 years ago, there was no YouTube. You couldn't just type in a chef's name and pull down, all of the recipes and how to do anything. Hell, I was translating recipes at a the Spanish version of the El Bulli cookbook back in the 90s, just trying to figure out what was going on. So now, there's a lot more knowledge out there, and it's really about who you work for. But let me back up a little bit and talk about that process in the corporate world. If you have the degree, it might put you ahead and against people that have the experience, and you just want to basically get your foot in the door. That's the tough part. You can work with some great people, but if the person reading the resume doesn't understand how great the restaurants are that you worked at, and they're just checking the box, it's going to be really hard for you to get that next job. Now, the cost. It's a lot of money. So if it's something that you're going to go into business for yourself, or you're really, we still pay for my student loans now. And I've got a guy that's one of my sons is looking at colleges. So I hope that I have it finally paid off before he starts hitting us up with his college loans. If you guys listen to Gary Vee, you might even, know that he actually says if you're going to school for business, save your money and just give it a shot right off the bat. There's so many people saying that colleges are too expensive for you to get a degree and then find a job that doesn't pay you enough to pay it off. Now, the kitchen was based off that. You started at the bottom and you worked your way up. So it's really hard for people to come out of culinary school, have $50,000 worth of debt, and working for $10 an hour while they climb the ladder. And that's one of the reasons why we're still paying on my debt, is because I had to keep deferring because we couldn't afford to pay it. And that's a tough question, and you're going to have to make that call for what you want to do. If it was up to me, I would have probably not paid it, but it's the only thing that you have to stick with, right? You can't bankrupt yourself out of student loans. So that's the trouble. Hell, and the next question is, where do you go to culinary school? Just recently, Le Cordon Bleu closed all their campuses. So I have people that have worked for me, and they're like, what, is my degree any good now that all of those schools are closed? So pick wisely. Pick something that you're going to put all your effort into, that you're going to be successful. Whether that's in a restaurant or out of it, you kind of got to find what path works for you. But I highly recommend, before you even jump into a culinary school, work in a kitchen for at least a year. Now, if you do that and you find out that you like the hours and you like what it's about and you like missing holidays and weekends and nights and friends and family, then finally apply. And then that's when you can actually start to hone a lot of really great skills. Now, I'm not saying that this is the golden rule and it should apply to everybody. I'm sure a lot of you might disagree. I can't wait to hear your opinions about it. But it's definitely something that I think if I didn't have my degree, I would not be where I am today. And that's just because, I worked with a lot of great teachers. I actually spent a lot of time after school asking them questions, volunteering as much as possible. It was just a good experience for me. Now, is that the same way for everybody? I'm not really sure. I do know that I'm very thankful for what I was able to achieve. Now, that is kind of where I'm feeling that we should probably talk about our cookbook for the day. Now, it ties into the school. This is My Kitchen Alphabet by Christopher Hardequest. I hope I'm not destroying your last name, but what an amazing cookbook. The name of the restaurant is Bon Bon Salon, and it's got 3 or 4 different languages in it, but I'm just going to read you a little tidbit out of it. It looks like they had an amazing time making the book. There's a lot of great pictures. I think they don't take themselves as seriously as you would think. The food looks exquisite. If I can, I'll try to put some shots up on the video. But I'm going to read you something that I think fits for this episode, if you will. And it's broken down by the alphabet A through Z, and this is L. And this is what he says. We are couriers, and as chefs, our job is to give people pleasure, to enable our customers to taste foods that they have never heard of or have forgotten about, and to provide an emotional bridge between the generations. What I receive from those that came before me, I pass on to those who come after me. I tell you what, I'm very thankful for the people that I got to work with over the years, and I know that it started at a really great place. And if you're able to find that either in a restaurant or in a school, then my hat's off to you. It's really about what's right for you, and you really need to develop your own ABCs and find your way to a path of success. And as always, you can follow us on Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, or Instagram. Can't wait to hear what you think about this. And until next time, cheers.